Have you ever wondered if the events in your life, every joy, every heartbreak, every quiet delay, were never truly random at all? What if that moment you thought was an ending was actually the first step towards something unseen? In the gentle light of Buddhist wisdom, life does not scatter its moments carelessly. Every twist and turn is part of a larger weaving, a tapestry you can only glimpse in fragments. Even pain has its place, not to break you, but to awaken you. Life rarely shouts its intentions. Instead, it speaks in the soft language of signs and patterns, a chance meeting, a sudden change, a door closing before you're ready. That rejection you feared, perhaps it was a hand guiding you toward a path you didn't yet recognize. That loss you mourned. Maybe it was an invitation to release your grip and trust the flow. The universe does not punish. It shapes. It prepares the heart for a depth it has not yet known. So pause for a moment. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself quietly, could the hurt you carry be the seed of something sacred? Could the detour you resisted be the very road your soul was meant to walk? Today, we step into an ancient truth, one that Buddhism has whispered for centuries. Nothing is without meaning, and even the smallest moment can hold the key to transformation. Lesson 1. The day you shattered was the day you were remade. There is no such thing as a random fracture in the fabric of your life. Every break, every loss, every unspoken word has its place in the great unfolding. And before we begin this journey together, stay with me until the end, because there is a rare, quiet truth waiting for you there. A truth that might just change the way you see your entire path. In every life, there comes a moment when something inside gives way. Sometimes it's a farewell you never expected. Sometimes it's a silence that feels heavier than any words. Sometimes it's the sudden absence of someone you thought would always remain. The breaking may not be loud, but it is absolute. Yet, in the language of Buddhist wisdom, a breaking is not an ending, it is an opening. The crack is not the ruin of the vessel, it is the place where light enters. Imagine a pot untouched by time, perfect in shape, but empty in essence. Then, one day, it splits, and sunlight pours in. What was once merely whole becomes illuminated. This is the hidden gift of suffering. It loosens the illusions we've clung to, releases the tight fist of control, and lays bare the truth we've been afraid to meet. The first noble truth tells us suffering is part of life. The second reminds us it is not without cause, and in knowing its cause, we find a path forward. Pain itself is not the enemy. It is our resistance that deepens the wound. The more we wrestle with our sorrow, the more it grips us. But when we sit with it gently, as we would sit beside a frightened child, something softens. And in that stillness, insight blooms. I remember my own season of breaking, a time when trust was torn away without warning. The person I leaned on vanished, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions. For a while, the silence felt like an endless night. But slowly, I began to realize something extraordinary. Beneath all the noise of my expectations, there was a self untouched by loss, a presence that did not depend on who stayed or who left. So I ask you now, what pain became your doorway? What moment of loss became your teacher? Don't rush to push it away. Write it down. Sit with it. Listen. The scar you carry is not the proof of your destruction. It is the mark of your becoming. Remember, nothing in your life is an accident. What walked away was never yours to keep. What broke you was never meant to end you. It came to awaken you. The soul does not glow in spite of the cracks. It glows through them. Lesson 2. The pause is not punishment. It is sacred preparation. There are seasons when life feels like it has set you down in the middle of a still pond. No ripples, no movement, just quiet. The days pass, but your dreams seem to stay frozen. You knock on doors, and they remain closed. You give your all, yet the world responds with silence. And in that stillness, an uneasy whisper rises. Have I been overlooked? Has life turned its back on me? But perhaps this quiet is not abandonment. Perhaps it is protection. Perhaps it is life pulling you back, not to deny you, but to align you. In the language of Buddhist wisdom, patience is not a passive wait. It is a living trust in what has not yet taken form. When the path says not yet, it might be because the path is being paved ahead of you. Readiness is not just about having the will to act. It is about having the clarity to receive without clinging. Think of the lotus, how long it rests beneath murky waters before it breaks the surface. The world does not see its silent labor, the way its roots anchor in the depths, the way it gathers strength in the dark. Then, one morning, it blooms not by force, but by the quiet inevitability of timing. The moment the world calls, sudden has been years in the making. You may be in your own hidden season now, unnoticed, uncelebrated, unseen. Yet this invisibility is not emptiness. It is the soil in which your becoming takes root. This is patience without bitterness, stillness without despair, the Buddhist art of breathing in the middle of uncertainty. Close your eyes for a moment. Inhale and think, I trust the unfolding. Exhale and release the need to rush. Let this be the rhythm that steadies you. When life delays you, it grants you space to refine not just your plans, but your presence. Waiting shapes desire into discernment. It allows you to ask, who am I becoming while I wait? I recall someone who mourned a closed door, a role they thought would define their future. But months later, another path appeared. This time, it didn't just fit their ambition, it fit their peace. It honored their truth. What they thought was rejection had simply been a redirection towards something better aligned with their soul. So I ask you, what if your stillness is a seedbed? What if the silence is gathering the perfect conditions for your rise? You are not being left behind. You are being placed in rhythm with a life that doesn't just meet your plans, it meets the deepest needs of your heart. Lesson 3. What leaves your hands reveals what remains in your heart. There will come a moment when something you've clung to begins to slip away, a love you once thought would anchor you forever, a dream that burned brightly for years, a role that once gave you identity. As it unravels, your heart may ache with quiet disbelief. Why now? Why this? When I've given it everything I had? It can feel like a betrayal, as though life has turned cold. But in the eyes of Buddhist wisdom, this is not betrayal. It is a clearing. It is truth peeling away the unnecessary so that the essential can shine through. Impermanence is not a curse, it is a teacher. What departs is not always loss. Often, it is the unveiling of what was never truly yours to keep. Think of the autumn tree. It lets go of its leaves, not because it has given up, but because it trusts the seasons. It stands bare, knowing that beneath the surface, life still flows. Roots still deepen. The tree is not dying, it is preparing for its next bloom. So it is with you. What drifts away may simply be something you have outgrown. I remember once holding tightly to an identity built from other people's expectations. I told myself that if I let it go, I would lose myself. But over time, that mask felt heavier than the truth it was hiding. Then one day, life whispered, not in judgment, but in compassion. This is no longer who you are. When I finally released it, I did not collapse. I expanded. Letting go was not my defeat, it was my liberation. In Buddhism, to release is not to discard love or meaning. It is to trust that what is real cannot be taken from you. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself as a great tree, your branches stretched wide into the sky. Now imagine one leaf loosening, drifting slowly toward the earth. Let it fall. Do not chase it. Do not mourn it. Watch it go with reverence. In that moment, you are practicing the highest form of trust that life knows what to take and what to leave. Because sometimes, loss is not a wound at all. Sometimes, It is the open space where new roots will take hold. It is the stillness from which deeper truths emerge. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that has already released me? What space is quietly opening in its place? Don't demand the answer. Let it come like the first green shoots after winter. For the soul grows not by clinging, but by surrendering. Not through accumulation, but through release. Remember, the universe is not punishing you, it is pruning you. It is removing only what was never meant to define you, and what remains after the falling, what is steady, unshaken, that is your truth, and nothing true can ever be lost. Lesson 4. Rejection is not a barrier, it is a bend in the river. There will be moments when the door you've been moving toward closes just as you reach for it. The opportunity you were certain was yours drifts out of reach. The person you welcomed into your heart turns away. And in the stillness that follows, the question presses into your chest. Why me? But what if that no was not a punishment, but a quiet act of protection? What if the path you thought you needed was one that would have led you away from yourself? Through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, rejection is rarely the enemy. More often, it is the compassionate intelligence of life itself, shaping the road you walk. A closed door might be shielding you from a fire you could not yet see. The ego cries, I was denied. But the soul, with its deeper vision, whispers, you were spared. Not every desire is meant to be fulfilled. Not every longing is in harmony with your true becoming. Consider the river. When a boulder falls into its path, it does not rage against the stone. It curves. It finds a new channel. It changes direction without losing its nature. And still, it reaches the ocean in its own time. You too can learn to bend, to not demand understanding in the moment, to grieve what slipped away, yet trust that something unseen is quietly arranging itself on your behalf. I recall a time when I chased a path with all my strength, convinced it was my destiny. The harder I tried to hold it, the more it slipped through my fingers. At first I felt unworthy, left behind, but as the silence settled, I began to see. The rejection had cleared the ground. It created space for a deeper calling to take root, one that matched not just my ambitions, but my essence. So I ask you, what no in your life became your turning point? Which slammed door led you unknowingly toward your truest self? Let the memory surface, not to reopen the wound, but to honor the way it became the seed of your healing. If you are in that place now, standing before the door that will not open, take a breath. You are not lost. You are being gently steered. Trust the current. It knows the way better than you can imagine. The universe does not block to punish. It redirects to protect, to teach, to guide. And sometimes, the clearest path forward begins with a step away from what you thought you wanted. Lesson 5. Growth begins where comfort ends. There's a reason stillness so often follows the storm, not because the storm was merciless, but because it was necessary. The soul does not hunger for an easy life, it hungers for transformation. And transformation rarely arrives dressed in softness. It comes with winds that bend you, with tremors that shake your ground, with moments that split you open so that something deeper can emerge. We are taught to chase safety, to cling to what feels light and certain. But the soul is wiser than our comfort-seeking mind. It will lead you into landscapes where the earth shifts beneath your feet, into heartbreak, into surrender, into the unknown, because it knows that without friction, there can be no true unfolding. Think of the lotus. It does not bloom in crystal water. It rises through dense, unseen mud. It pushes upward through what others avoid, and in doing so, it becomes something radiant. You too are meant for rising. Perhaps you can recall a time when everything seemed to crumble, not with a gentle fade, but with a force that left you breathless. In that moment, you may have believed it was the end. But was it? Or was it the exact disruption your spirit needed so that clarity, courage, and a truer self could take shape? The soul's path is not a straight line, it is a spiral. It will bring you back to old wounds, not to break you again, but to show you that you are no longer the same. It will place you in discomfort not to punish, but to stretch you toward your fullest form. Comfort can cradle you, but it cannot awaken you. The soul does not come here just to survive, it comes here to awaken. So close your eyes for a moment. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself, what is my soul becoming through this challenge? Maybe it is learning tenderness. Maybe it is mastering the art of release. Maybe it is finally standing unapologetically in truth. Whatever it is, trust it even if it stings. Especially if it stings. Remember the bamboo, it must crack before it can surge upward. You are no different. Where are you still holding everything together because you fear the fall? And what if letting it fall apart is the only way to step into who you're meant to be? Pain is not your enemy. Discomfort is not an error. They are sacred messengers, pointing to the exact place where the old self ends and the new self begins. Nothing in this journey is random, not even the storms. Especially not the storms. The soul knows exactly the shape it came here to grow into. Lesson 6. Loss is the lantern that guides you home. Not everything you lose is truly gone. Some things disappear in form, but return in another way, woven into your strength, your wisdom, your ability to see life more clearly. They come back, not in the shape you once held, but in the lessons you now carry. At first, loss feels merciless. It arrives without warning, takes without asking, and leaves behind a silence so heavy it seems unbreakable. But if you sit with that silence instead of fleeing it, if you breathe into it, something begins to shift. Slowly, almost shyly, the silence starts to speak. We are taught to see loss as the end of the story, but often it is the opening of another chapter, a threshold the soul must cross to understand life on a deeper level. Picture a cup brimming with tea, knocked over and left empty. It feels like destruction, yet in that emptiness lies the space for something richer, something that lingers not just for a moment, but for a lifetime. Think about it. What loss has shaped you the most? Was it a love that slipped away? A dream that dissolved in your hands? A future you were certain of that never came to pass? At the time, it may have broken you. But now, what has it left behind? Perhaps it softened you toward others who are hurting. Perhaps it taught you to sit with your pain instead of running from it. Perhaps it stripped away illusions, revealing a self that no longer needed to pretend. We resist letting go because we confuse it with failure or abandonment. But sometimes, what falls away has simply finished its work in our lives. It has given all it could. And when you loosen your grip, you begin to see clearly. The gift was never in holding on. It was in what remained when it was gone. Close your eyes for a moment. Bring to mind one loss that still whispers in your memory. Now imagine that loss not as a void, but as a lantern. What light did it cast on your path? What truth did it reveal? Perhaps it showed you the fragile beauty of each moment. Perhaps it taught you to love without needing guarantees. Perhaps it made you stronger, and at the same time, more human. What if your deepest grief has also been your greatest teacher? What if it was the only way your soul could awaken to the depth of love, compassion, and resilience within you? Loss is not an interruption to life. It is part of life's flow. And when you allow it to teach you, it becomes more than pain. It becomes light. It becomes guidance. Breathe into this truth. Release the wish that things had unfolded differently. They unfolded exactly as they needed to. Not to harm you, but to grow you in ways comfort never could. Because some things, once lost, do not return as they were. They return as light, as clarity, as the quiet strength you carry now. Lesson 7. Some souls are meant to pass through, but they always leave a trace. Some people enter your life like sudden sunlight, bright, warming, and gone before you can hold the moment. They pass through like shooting stars, leaving a trail across your sky, not to stay forever, but to awaken something you had forgotten within yourself. It's easy to wish they had remained, to wonder what life would look like if their presence had been permanent, but perhaps their purpose was never to walk beside you for the whole journey, only to stir a part of your soul that had been asleep. Not every presence is meant to be constant. Some people arrive as mirrors, brief reflections showing you who you are or who you are becoming. They may challenge you, disrupt your comfort, or stretch the edges of your boundaries. And then they leave. The mind clings, the heart aches, but the soul understands. Not all teachers stay long enough for you to realize they were teaching at all. Close your eyes. Think of someone who once mattered deeply, a friend, a lover, even a stranger, whose presence changed you. Whisper in your heart, "Thank you for the gift I didn't understand at the time." Maybe they gave you strength by walking away. Maybe their betrayal taught you the sacred language of boundaries. Or perhaps their love, though short-lived, reminded you that your heart was still capable of opening wide. Often, it is only in someone's absence that we see what their presence gave us. The laughter becomes sacred. The disagreements reveal their meaning. The ending starts to make sense, not all at once, but slowly. The wound becomes a doorway. The goodbye becomes a teacher, and you, without realizing it, begin to change. Ask yourself, what did they leave behind in me? Was it a scar, a softness, a shift in how you see yourself and the world? Every encounter carries a seed, some bloom in joy, others in pain, but all leave something behind. Life does not move in random circles, it moves with quiet design. The Buddhist heart understands there are no coincidences, only awakenings. And some awakenings come through brief connections that alter your path forever. A stranger's kindness that lifted you in a dark moment. A short conversation that made you see the world differently. A fleeting love that showed you the vastness of your own heart. Not all journeys are meant to be lifelong, but every soul leaves its footprints in yours. Let your grief soften into gratitude. Let your longing deepen into wisdom. And if someone's name or face has risen in your mind just now, hold them in your heart, not for the fact that they left, but for the fact that they came. Because when they did, something in you was forever changed. Even shooting stars leave a trail of light, and sometimes that light is enough to guide you for years to come. Lesson 8. The universe is not against you, it is steering you. There are seasons in life when it feels as if the whole world has turned its face away from you. A door you were certain would open slams shut. A relationship you cherished dissolves without warning. A dream you carried for years crumbles into dust. And in that heavy silence, a question rises like smoke from the wound. Why me? But the universe is not here to punish. It is not cruel. It is precise. It is purposeful. And often, it is redirecting you. Imagine yourself as a sailor on open waters. You've set your course, the horizon is clear, and you trust the wind at your back. Then suddenly, the wind shifts, the current changes, your boat begins to turn toward an unfamiliar direction. Fear stirs in your chest, you tighten the ropes, wondering if you're lost. But what if that turn, unwanted and unplanned, is guiding you towards safer shores, towards something your soul needed more than what your mind desired? This is the quiet intelligence of the path. Like the rivers that twist and bend toward the ocean, the flow of life rarely moves in straight lines. You may not see the destination, but you can trust this. It is never without meaning. Place your hand gently over your heart. Breathe in slowly. Whisper to yourself, "Even this is guiding me." You are not lost. You are not being punished. You are being rerouted, not away from your life, but deeper into it. Away from what would have fractured you, toward what will shape and strengthen you. Still, we resist. We call detours failures. We name delays punishments. We wear heartbreak like proof of our unworthiness. But what if the ending was protection? What if the loss was alignment? What if the thing you begged to keep was never meant to hold you in the first place? Ask yourself with compassion, what pain have I mistaken for punishment? Was it the job that slipped away? The person who left? The stillness that made you restless? And now, could those have been acts of grace in disguise? In the teachings of Buddhism, the universe does not play in revenge or reward. It simply calls you back to the path again and again. The sharper the disruption, the clearer the invitation. Not to push harder, but to release. Not to cling tighter, but to trust deeper. Sometimes the universe whispers. When we ignore it, it sends a stronger wind. Not to destroy your plans, but to rescue your soul from paths that would have dimmed it. To strip away illusions so something truer can rise. Not your ego's desire, but your essence's truth. So breathe again. Loosen your grip. You don't have to understand it all today. Just know that you are still moving, still becoming. And this turn in the road, it's not a mistake. It may just be the most sacred way forward. The wind will change, the path will curve, but the soul, your soul, always finds its way home. Lesson 9. In silence, life speaks the loudest. The world hums with noise, cars rushing, phones buzzing, voices overlapping. But the most restless noise is not always outside. It's the noise within. The constant inner questioning. What's next? What should I do? Why can't I see the way? Perhaps the answers you seek have never been lost. Perhaps they've been waiting, not in the chaos of the world, but in the stillness you've been avoiding. The soul never shouts. It doesn't force itself into your awareness. It speaks in whispers, steady, patient, unhurried. To hear it, you must first grow quiet enough to listen. Think of a pond after a stone is thrown. The water ripples and mud rises from the depths. Only when left undisturbed does the surface clear. Your mind works the same way. Clarity only comes when you stop stirring it. And in that clarity, life speaks. Not in urgency, but in truth. So pause now, just for a breath. Let your shoulders drop. Feel the weight you didn't know you were carrying. Let your thoughts drift like clouds across an open sky. You do not have to fix anything in this moment. You do not have to answer every question. You only have to be here, that dull ache in your chest. It carries a message, that restless pull you've been ignoring. It remembers the road home. The guidance you've been searching for is not far. It's under the noise, under the fear, under the constant striving. Ask yourself, when was the last time I listened? Not to the opinions around me, but to the voice within me. The world worships speed and volume, but the soul unfolds in slowness. She blooms in silence. The deepest insights rarely arrive with thunder. They enter like dawn, gentle, certain, impossible to ignore once they are here. What if the direction you've been chasing has been speaking all along, through your breath, through the tension in your body, through the quiet knowing you've dismissed? What if your next step isn't about doing more, but about becoming still enough to notice? Buddhism teaches that wisdom is not a destination. It is not something you win or acquire. It is a home you return to, a truth that has always been yours. Beneath the noise, beneath the ego, beneath the ache, it waits. So give yourself that gift today. Find a corner of your life where the world grows quiet. Close your eyes. Let your breath become your anchor. Let the silence hold you. This is not emptiness. It is presence. It is life at its most awake. If these words softened something inside you, let them stay with you. Like this video, subscribe for more soul-deep Buddhist reflections, and in the comments share. What has silence taught you that noise never could? Stillness is not the absence of life. It is the place where life finally meets you. Bonus lesson. You were never off the path. We spend so much of life wondering if we've gone the wrong way. We replay choices in our minds. If I had done this, maybe I'd be happier. If I had gone there, maybe I'd be further ahead. We convince ourselves that somewhere along the way, we stepped off the path meant for us. But what if that was never possible? In Buddhist wisdom, the path is not a single narrow road you can fall from. It is every step you've ever taken, every detour, every pause, every heartbreak, every beginning. Even the places you thought were dead ends were simply turns in a greater circle, leading you exactly where you needed to be. Think of a river. It curves, it bends, it disappears into quiet shadows before returning to the light. Sometimes it rushes, sometimes it slows to a still mirror, but no matter how it moves, it always finds its way to the sea. Your life is that river. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are in motion, even when it feels like you're standing still. Every person who left, every dream that crumbled, every season of waiting was not a mistake. It was part of the shaping. The missed opportunity that broke your heart may have saved you from a life too small for who you were becoming. The delay that frustrated you may have been giving you time to grow roots before your next rise. Place your hand on your chest for a moment. Feel the steady rhythm there. You have been walking your path all along. The scenery changes, the pace shifts, but the journey is yours, and it has never stopped unfolding. So stop asking, am I on the right path? Start asking, what is this moment here to teach me? Because even now, especially now, the path is beneath your feet. If this truth stirred something inside you, let it linger. Let it remind you that no matter where you stand, you are exactly where you are meant to be. And maybe, just maybe, you've never been anywhere else. Conclusion. Life is not a straight line. It is a series of arrivals and departures, of doors closing and others opening, of storms that break you and silences that rebuild you. And in every twist, every delay, every loss, there is a thread of meaning weaving your story together. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that nothing is wasted. Not the heartbreak, not the detour, not the stillness. Everything shapes you. Everything carries a lesson, a seed, a light meant for you alone. You may not always see the purpose in the moment. The pain may feel heavier than the truth it hides. But with time, with stillness, with trust, the patterns begin to reveal themselves. You realize the universe was never against you. It was guiding you, again and again, toward the person you were meant to become. So wherever you are right now, whether in the middle of a storm or standing in the quiet after one, know this: you are not lost. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be. Every step, every breath is part of the path. Hold gratitude for those who came and went. Find courage in the moments that cracked you open. Trust the pauses, the redirections, the endings,